Hey guys, welcome to the Roshambro's podcast. Today's topic is book to other media adaptations. So, I'm Kien.
I'm John Dean.
Max Schooley.
Right guy.
And Jay Old. I'm just kidding. No.
And Jay Oldenkamp.
No. Nah. So, well, we only have one question, so I'm just gonna jump into this question. This is from Sawyer Roberts. He asks, why was Aragon such a terrible movie?
Because the book was terrible.
Because it was.
Boom.
Yeah, the
I
first
said it.
book was pretty bad too. It didn't get good till like
I
halfway. through the
like
second
the
one.
book, but yeah, I can agree that the first book is a little on the boring side when you
Yeah.
first read through it.
I heard the guy who wrote that book is a huge douche, though.
From what I've
I don't
heard,
know anything
yeah,
about
a little
him.
bit.
If I was rich, I'd be a douche too.
He's
Oh,
still.
yeah.
Other
So
dudes.
Yeah.
That's the thing, though. I would just be me with money.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like-
I can just justify myself being a dick because I have money.
Yeah, because you're that person who's like, dude, if this ever gets big and I'm making money, I'm gonna run people."
Lamborghini.
No, he's not. He's not. That's not the Lamborghini story. He's like, yeah,
Oh,
I'm
is
just
this the
gonna
running over
Yeah, I'm gonna
people?
run people over.
Because it really pisses me off when
Throw
people
money
ride their
at 'em.
bikes in the middle of the road.
Like bicycles, not.
Well, yeah, I knew that he was talking about bicycles. Obviously, you're riding a motorcycle in the middle of the road.
No,
Can't-
you ride
I can't-
motorcycles on the sidewalk.
Those
I
guys
was
are
just
fine.
gonna
Get it
say,
right.
I usually get yelled at when I'm riding on the sidewalk.
That's what bike paths
Yeah,
are.
no,
Well,
like,
I'm
that's the
very
thing.
conscious about
That's the other
motorcycle
thing
riders.
about bicycles, though, too, is that you can't. In most places, it's actually illegal to ride your bicycle on the sidewalk.
Which is so much.
So you have to be
horseshit.
on the road,
Yeah,
and it's
it is.
dangerous.
Yeah.
Very
I mean,
much
it's-
so.
The only reason is because we were driving out of Walmart and I saw I saw some people on a bike, and they were blocking one of the lanes at the. What the fuck do you call those? The intersection with the lights? Because they were just like
The
in
stoplights?
Yeah, at the stoplight. There we go. Because they were just like planted firmly in the middle of the lane, and I was like, that fucking annoys the shit out of me when people do that.
Right. No, I get you on that. But
Mhm.
like, why Aragon was a terrible movie? The main actor was shit.
All the actors were shit in that
I have
movie.
this theory that like the person who directed the movie never even heard of the books
Yeah,
before he
I'm
got like put
pretty
on it,
positive he never read the books.
and then didn't read them up until then, and
He
he's
read the
just
Spark
like,
notes.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
like
he read the Spark
they
Notes
gave
and was
him
like, eh.
they gave him like one page of bulleted information for the entire book, and he's just like, I can work with this.
So, yeah, it's got the highlights of it.
Right,
fuck it.
right.
But yeah,
So, like,
the
if
movie
I,
is so much worse than
Right.
the book, and the book,
Oh, yeah.
the first book isn't even that great.
No.
Right.
The second book is actually really good.
Right.
Yeah, the second book's probably my favorite in the series.
Yeah.
So
same.
if we could jump into this, like, I know everyone raves about how much they like Harry Potter 1 through 8, like the movies.
I've never read the books,
The
but I've
books
seen the
are
movies.
Way,
beautiful.
but like
I've read up to Prisoner of Azkaban, and that's it.
that's cool. That's fine.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's one of my
I
favorites.
don't
I
like
remember
Harry
when I was
Potter.
forced
I
to
don't
read
like Harry
Scholastic
Potter.
books when I was in middle school.
Yeah.
I don't like Harry Potter. I don't
Right.
like the books
Yeah,
or the
I'm-
movies.
Nah, so this is what I'm gonna point out though with that is that like this is one of the rare occasions where the book, what you took out of the book, there are a lot more important parts that you didn't get to the movie, and
Oh,
so
yeah.
that's where I stand. Where like, it's obviously made billions of dollars and made like
Oh yeah.
fuck ton of money and like they're rich as shit now, but like. I still feel like she kind of sold her soul a little bit.
Uh-huh.
At least until you reach Fantastic Beasts, because that's its own movie. It didn't have a book adaptation from it or anything
Yeah,
like that.
that I actually liked, which I was fine with. My problem is there are huge plot points in the books that are completely cut out,
Right.
and
Well,
they
I-
just work around it. And just like,
I'd say
fuck it.
that's like the main problem with book to movie adaptations is you have so much less time to focus on the world and the characters.
Well, could you imagine if they put everything in those 7 books into movies? We'd
Yeah.
still be getting new movies.
You get Return of the King, and then you still get shit that's left out.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah,
That's
so,
3
like,
goddamn hour
Lord,
movie.
Right.
every Lord of the Rings movie is damn near 3 hours.
But the like, okay,
There are things in the Lord of the Rings I am glad are gone.
Right.
Like explaining the fucking trees and shit like
Alright,
that.
so like I was going to say that like I like the Lord of the Rings movies more than I actually like the books, and
Exception, The Hobbit.
The Hobbit is
Those movies are shit.
those movies. One is good, the other two
No,
are
it's not.
shit. Comparatively.
I enjoy them
Comparatively.
a lot
Fuck
for
the
what they
new
are.
Hobbit 3 trilogy movie. I enjoy the cartoon Hobbit.
Yeah, that movie.
Yeah, that movie
That
was the
movie
shit.
fucking
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, that movie fucked me up though.
I like the Hobbit trilogy for what it is, at least. but
It's alright to watch. It's,
Yeah.
10 out of 10 was disappointed that the Hobbit movie, the live action one, didn't have the down to Goblin Town.
Yeah,
song.
me too.
Nah, see, like, and that's where I stand. Like, it's just kind of like, you get books that like need to get cut down really, really bad
really.
in the movies, and then you get books like the Chronicles of Narnia that are almost too faithful that you should probably not have done it too faithfully.
Yeah.
Lions-
I remember really enjoying those as a kid.
I did
Oh,
enjoy
yeah.
them, but The Lion, the Witch,
I
and
have
the...
actually only seen The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and I don't know how many of those movies they're up to now.
They made three and then
Three.
they quit
They
because
just
Fox.
decided to quit.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
I've
were.
only seen the first two.
They were.
But I really liked the first one.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. The first one was really, really good. Like
Yeah.
that's the only one where it's like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like, then the other ones just got weird and just like
the second one made me not even watch the third one.
right.
Mm.
The thing about those ones though, and that's such a hard book to really like. At the end of the series, such a hard book to really adapt because it like C.S. Lewis was a sexist and
Oh
like
yeah.
so at the end of the book, like the reason why girls never go back to Narnia is because they get married and get interested in boys, and so they never have imagination or fantasy.
Yeah,
ever
they
again.
lose all their fantasy, so they
Right.
can't get back to Narnia.
Just pretending like boys don't get interested in girls.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly what it
Yeah,
was.
that's exactly what it was, and it's
Because
so,
I would argue that like when boys start getting interested in girls, they're
Yeah.
more obsessed with that shit than girls
Yeah,
are.
hey,
I'd
I-
say, yeah, I'd definitely say it's the other way around.
yo, I'm not gonna lie, like I like Dragon Ball Z, but when I found out pussy existed, I'm like,
You're
I
gonna
was-
sit on like the back burner. You're still there, but like there's other shit.
like-
I was gonna
remember-
say like when I found out I could play with my own dick.
I remember seeing like a late night commercial on Spike for Girls Gone Wild, and my
Yeah.
entire life changed after
Yeah,
that movie.
exactly.
I remember that.
there was we still
Lifting up their shirt and they got
Yeah.
purple stars.
Yeah.
going out.
You're still like, yep, this is what
This
I
was,
want.
it was during the time where you could still like take blank tapes and record whatever you had.
Yeah.
I like would like wait till my parents went to bed and I had a blank tape and I was like, all right, record Comedy Central at 2:00 in the morning.
Wait for the commercials.
You know, because it was like a 30-minute commercial with all this shit, and you're
And you're just like, fuck yeah.
like, fuck yeah, puberty.
And then you
Fat,
discover
fat,
what the
fat,
internet
fat,
is, and you're just like, holy shit, I can actually see the tits.
Right, no,
They sing a
seriously.
song about how the internet's for porn.
Right.
Dude,
they-
Avenue Q, shout
Right.
out to them.
We cannot keep
song.
singing that because I feel like we're gonna get sued sooner or later.
I
if we
think I've sung it like once.
once, and then
Yeah.
Jay tried to sing it again. I'm like, no,
Yeah, no. Ryan
Right.
used to sing that song
All the time.
all the time.
Right. So like, with that in mind, like a lot of like, I'm gonna bring up Game of Thrones here. Is like the perfect example of books to media for me.
Oh yeah.
And I'm gonna point this out because, no offense, George R. R. Martin is a shit writer.
I don't think he's necessarily a shit writer. I think he's just a really complicated writer.
Right.
Yeah.
But there is something that I do dislike about the Game of Thrones TV show versus the books. And in the book, and that's a lot of like the visual aspect of it. And a lot of people say that it's like visually really good. But a lot of the characters are much prettier in the TV show than they are in like the books.
Yeah,
and
they look
stuff
like
that.
shit.
Mhm.
They're described as like gross teeth, missing teeth, or like Bronn is like a really dirty looking guy all the time.
He's a filthy hobo with a
Yeah.
sword, basically.
Mm.
And
The Hound's description was like,
yeah, I mean he's basically like a malformed human being
right.
with like serious burns all over his face. Like they describe his skin as even being like blackened
Right.
because of the burns and stuff like that, and it like covers his entire face
Right.
and stuff like that.
And then the most, like, for me, the most guilty of that is Tyrion. Of, like,
I can't really remember it. I remember him being described as not just like a dwarf, but like as being really ugly and stuff like that. And I don't think Peter Dinklage is ugly at all.
Right, he's not. I mean, he's a pretty handsome dwarf for what he is. That's him. Look
Yeah,
at that. He not pretty.
He's
No.
almost like a troll looking.
Yeah,
like
he
he doesn't
looks-
even
he
have
looks
a
like a-
nose.
Yeah.
Right,
Oh,
but I
jeez.
will. Yeah, no.
Well,
if you want to take a look,
the
it's
not
like,
having a nose thing is from taking
right,
the sword to the face.
right. Ryan's like, whoa,
My God.
that's not pretty
But
at all.
Yeah, it's very different, but
Right, like, but they take a lot of the things that didn't make sense in the book, like
yeah.
reviving fucking Caitlyn Stark as like
Oh yeah, as like
a wraith.
yeah, like an undead basically.
Yeah, who's out for like that just wouldn't like in this the way the series worked out, it just wouldn't have made sense.
Mm-hmm.
But there were some scenes in the books that like I didn't think they'd actually do, but they did. Like when they decapitated Robb Stark and had his dire wolf's head on his head.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh shit, they did
Well,
that. Like,
yeah, and again, that was something that was a little bit more gruesome in the books.
right.
But yeah, I like that they're willing to like change up things a little bit too. though.
Right.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's very interesting how, with the TV mediums like Game of Thrones and The Walking Dead, they're kind of praised for straying from the source material.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I will go into The
Whereas-
Walking Dead.
Especially with the
I will
Walking
go on
Dead,
The Walking
it's being
Dead.
both reading and a visual
Right.
thing.
I will go with The Walking Dead because they did the bullshit thing in the comic books of cutting Rick's hand off, which causes a lot of dilemma for a character
Yeah.
if you had it on television. Like, you would have, like, a lot of that budget would have to go to either CGIing your hand or having that prop. So,
Well, they've, especially in the newest season, they've been like making callbacks to it quite a bit,
right,
but not doing it.
right. They're like, whoa, you almost lost your hand.
Yeah.
Be careful.
Well, I think the thing that's most interesting about that is that those TV shows are praised for that, yet movies get trashed on for straying too far
Yeah.
from the books.
I think the problem with movies is they don't stray in like a different direction a little bit.
but they still
just
follow the actual
yeah, they
story.
follow the storyline
Yeah.
and just cut shit. But TV shows kind of stray in a way and not just cutting out parts.
I think again that goes back to having enough time to do it too.
Yeah, like a TV show's got enough time where if they wanted to follow it scene for scene, they could.
American Gods is one of the greatest books and one of the greatest retellings on their TV media. And I will explain it like this.
Yeah.
American Gods was written in 1999. So, that's been 17 years. And there were so many people that were mad that the techno boy in the show isn't this fat, weird nerd
Yeah,
on the internet.
which-
But that's not the internet anymore, though.
No, I'm glad they adapted it to modern age.
Right.
I love it.
And like you find out Bilquis originally was just a prostitute in the books, and now she's like she's a
amazing
goddess,
character.
she's a goddess of sex.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so like in back then in their modern times, free sex was being a stripper and a prostitute.
Yeah.
Now she's the god of Tinder. Like
Oh, okay.
she uses the dating app
Yeah,
to
so they modernized
Yeah.
it.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
they straight up modernized
Yeah.
it, and I,
I
love
think-
it.
I think that's almost like, I don't know, that can add so much to a series, like if they do it right, mind
Right.
you, like modernizing and or like adding in characters.
They did, yeah. That was the one thing I wanted to point out. Like, Neil Gaiman had an original concept of Vulcan, who is Hephaestus in Greek mythology, is the
Uh-huh.
god of weaponry, and well, volcanoes. But he forged all of Zeus's
He
weapons and
forges
everything
the
like that.
weapons.
So Neil Gaiman had this concept of he didn't put Vulcan in the books
No.
of this guy who now manufactures guns, and they actually put it in the series now because America is gun crazy, and I know you have guns and it's totally chill. You don't go shooting people and shit like
yeah,
that.
to each their
Not
own,
every
but-
day. at
Right.
least.
But
Tuesdays,
like,
stay away from John.
right, Tuesday, stay away from John. If he's wearing his black trench coat,
It's
run.
because I work nights and Tuesdays right after my Monday, so I'm
Yeah,
not very
exactly.
happy.
Yeah, he goes Punisher. If he's wearing that black trench coat with the skull, you better run your ass off. But no, there was that scene, and you saw that scene where he's like, "This is what happens. Every bullet is in my name," and it's just,
Yeah.
it's so dramatic, and you're just like, "This
Oh,
is
like-
fucking deep," and like, this is one of those things where you're just like, "Oh shit!"
Holy fuck.
Right?
Like,
It's
this entire town literally worships him, like, every few hours by firing off, like, a rifle squad. Because on every bullet that's printed from there has Vulcan's name on it. So every shot is praise to him, and he gains power through this.
Right. And see, taking things like that into consideration, I think that's an interesting adaptation.
Oh yeah.
If you wanted to go a bit further, let's look at the series of Unfortunate Event, the movie, versus the series of
The
Unfortunate
TV
Event,
show.
the series. The movie is shit.
I have seen the movie and the first episode of the TV series.
Okay.
Because Chris was watching it one day after I got off work,
Mhm.
and I sat down and I watched that first episode. And I hated the movie,
Right.
and I saw only the first episode, and I fucking loved it.
Right. It's a good series.
Uh-huh.
It obviously it'll deviate away because
Yeah.
it's a show,
Yeah.
but it actually stays very
It
coherent
stays
to the book.
much more closer to the
But
books
it's
than that
not.
damn
I'm going to
movie did.
say the show will not be as dark as the books.
Oh god,
because-
no, I hope not. Those
Right.
were dark books at some
Yeah,
point.
there are some like shitty things that happen to them. So like those kind of movies are very interesting. But then you take movies like Shutter Island, where like I like Shutter Island a lot,
I
and
like
I also
the book and I
Right.
love the movie.
and then it's a very interesting thing because like it doesn't do all of what's in the book, but it
I think it
figures
does
out,
enough.
right. That's the thing. It figures out the right way, the right
Like
parts,
the right things
Yeah.
to cut out.
I think that's one of the things that is partially a struggle of making a book adaptation, is trying to pinpoint why people loves this so much and trying to bring that like to the screen. Because if you
Right.
can pinpoint that and bring that to the screen, it's gonna be gold. But like if you can't capture why people love this series so much, then it's just gonna be a total shit show.
Right. Like, and we were talking on the news podcast, that we were talking about how Lionsgate wants to make more fucking Hunger Games and shit like that. My
Yeah.
thing about Hunger Games, and we talked about this on the podcast, and I want to reiterate it, is that like you needed the brutality of what those kids did.
Oh, yeah.
Because it is very important.
Well, it's a part of the story.
Right.
It
It's-
solidified how terrifying this is.
Right.
Well,
that
Mm-hmm.
The thing about the violence in the Hunger Games is it gives you a real sense of how
Fucked up the world that they live
yeah,
in.
just how evil the capital is in that world. That
Mhm.
they force people like to do
Force
this shit.
kids
Yeah.
to do this.
I
and then
think
kids
you
volunteer if they're from District 1 or 2, because that's what they're trained to do, is
Yeah.
to murder and maim.
Yeah, they're bred for that basically.
Right,
Yeah.
that's the thing that's fucked
They're
up about the
true
books.
Unless you're
children.
PETA, then you just grow bread for that.
Yeah.
Or you're PETA and you apparently are so good at decorating cakes that you can create camouflage.
Yeah, but you become a rock.
Yeah. Right. So, no, like, and that's the thing, like, that book series, you can make it into a movie,
Mm-hmm.
but I think there's certain books that should. I actually saw The Dark Tower, by the way, and I was gonna tell
Yeah.
my opinions before I go into this.
Mm.
Is that you should probably make most books into miniseries, because look at it. Like,
Oh,
it
yeah.
worked really well as a miniseries.
Yeah.
Until they got to the second half,
Yeah, the second half got
And
weird.
when
but-
they're all adults.
All right, the second half of the book is dumb anyway, isn't it?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, like the first half is the most interesting part. If they don't make a sequel where they're all adults, I'm not gonna be sad, because then it just gets weird.
Yeah, the director has said he doesn't know if he's gonna make a second
Right.
one yet, because he can leave it as is in
Right.
the first movie.
Right. So like for me, it's like I think a lot of Stephen King's adaptations work a lot better
They should be series.
as miniseries.
Yeah.
Besides The Shining, because The Shining TV adaptation was on NBC, so instead of getting killed by an axe, the guy just gets knocked out by a hammer.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it's fucking dumb.
It is.
Right, but like my favorite that's the thing, my favorite Stephen King book to movie is The Shining. I love The Shining
Oh yeah.
so much. And then it's Firestarter. Like,
Firestarter was good.
Firestarter is really good.
That was good.
But then you get movies like Carrie, and you're never going to get Carrie right,
No, God.
because
no.
like they
Part
tried
of-
to
Part of the catch of Carrie is the book itself.
right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think the original Carrie is really good.
It is
The
really
remake, not so much.
Oh, God.
yeah. No,
But the
I mean,
original Carrie is a horror classic.
I think, especially when you're going from books to movies, adapting a book, which is something that you have to read,
mhm.
and you're changing that from an imagination kind of viewpoint to something that's a visually absorbed thing, and that's what especially people that love reading are really drawn into that part of it. Like actually like imagining not just the world that this is in, but the characters in their own kind of way.
Right.
It's the best way that you can really immerse someone into a story is to make them think of all of the big details while giving them the story to go off of. And movies can't do that because you visually have to see everything going on.
Right? Like, one of my favorite parts about books is getting a description from somebody and, like, seeing their face in your head.
Well, exactly.
And then when you see a movie, you're like, that is not
what I pictured. Yeah,
no.
I was going to say that.
I don't like that.
That's one of the things that can really sully a movie for me is if it's a book that I love and then I see, like, the character...
And it's completely different than what you had thought of.
It's not what you pictured in your head.
Yeah.
You're just like Haymitch in the Hunger Games.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He was not at all what I pictured him from the books. And that really bugged me.
Yeah. Like, that's something that gets me. Especially in books where they're very descriptive about how the people look. And then you just get, like, 2/3 of the description as the person. And you're like, this isn't even close.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, everything from, like, little details, even in books, are described in a way that your mind can still alter that in some way. Like, you get a man described as a tall, brooding man with a scar on his cheek. You don't know how big that scar is. It could be, like, a little cut.
It could be a little
or it could be, like, this big
huge.
fucking dog swipe gash thing running across his whole face. And then you see that on the screen, and it's not what you would imagine when you're reading.
Yeah.
That can be kind of disappointing.
Yeah, I think one of the strengths of the Lord of the Rings series, I think, is their ability to capture, like, the locations and the characters
they
from
make
the
it look
series.
very similar to how I thought it looked.
Yeah, definitely.
Most of what is in the movies there is what I pictured.
A lot of that has to do with Peter Jackson's directing style as well. I mean,
And his love for
yeah.
that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's a phenomenal director, and he's a huge Lord of the Rings fan.
Especially the Balrog. The first time I saw that,
oh yeah,
I was like,
definitely.
that is exactly what I was thinking of when I read that part.
That's still like my favorite scene in the first Lord of the Rings movie, just for not only like how fucking cool it looks too, but just for it being like
so
something that like exactly how I had imagined it.
Yeah,
and that thing that the visual for the Balrog,
I mean, it's
holds up still today.
Yeah, I mean, it's
really
almost scarier than like what I could have imagined. Too.
Right. What I saw in the movie was bigger and almost more daunting than what I imagined in the book. And in the book, they're like, "This is impossible to fucking beat.
Yeah,
we're fucked anyways." And the movie thing popped up, and I was like, "They're all gonna die."
Right. And so then there are books like because weirdly enough, I read the Starship Trooper book before I actually watched the shit fun campy movie.
Really?
Fun campy movie.
See, I didn't know that it was a book series until after I'd watched the movie.
It is a book series, and it does take Halo takes a lot from the book series, but not from that movie. So every time I say I've said this to people numerous times, Halo took a lot from Starship Troopers. They're like, no, they didn't do like fight bugs. So I'm like, nah, they took the mech suits that they
took like the mech suits and like the fighting styles and
shit like
that.
Well,
I mean, you can't really say that Starship Troopers was the first to do the battle
their
armor
mech suits look
thing.
so
very similar.
Yeah, I can agree with that, but again, I'm gonna say like when you. This is kind of tangenting a little bit, but when you read or watch something today, everything is sort of a copy of something else.
Yeah,
fuck, dude. Even Rambo was a book before a movie.
Yeah.
Well, there's that old saying that's like there's no like original ideas anymore, just interpretations.
Yeah, there's no new thoughts. It's just
originality is dead, creativity's alive.
Yeah.
So like that's always been my thing. But like when I look at it like that, like I just. There's a lot of movies that were based on books that I had no idea about. But the one kind of book adaptation of movie that I cannot fucking stand because I know it's gonna make millions of dollars and it's gonna make its revenue back, are the romance books.
Yeah.
Like, there's
teen
some
angsty romance
books.
books
Like,
are terrible.
the Twilight series kicked it off for me for that bullshit, and Nicholas Spark books are so much
Yeah.
bullshit.
I don't have as much like a problem with the Twilight series, mostly just because, and you can make fun of me for this all you want, but I stand by the statement. She's actually a very talented writer.
Stephanie Meyer? Alright,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah,
That-
No, I
the
totally
books were
agree.
competent books. I agree with that, but like
the movies were shit.
I
Yeah, the
don't
movies
like
are
the
terrible, but
I don't
The,
like
the,
those.
her writing is pretty solid.
Right.
Yeah.
She's a good writer. She does good work.
Like,
Those books are shitty books.
Right.
If she
Yeah.
had been
That
a
it's
writer,
a shitty storyline.
Yeah.
They're shitty characters, but her writing is good. In it
Like, because she
still.
wrote The Host, and that's a really good
Yeah,
book.
Oh, I
like, I
love
would
The
have
Host.
loved to see her write in a different genre, a different story, because she's a good writer, solid writer, and she knows what she's doing. I just don't like what she picked to write.
I don't
Right.
think she does romance that well.
Right, no.
Not really, no.
It's very rapey.
You
It
can,
comes
yeah,
out
you
very
can
rapey.
almost
Yeah.
tell that she either has some weird rapey fantasy thing going on, or she's never actually been in a good solid relationship.
She's
with
Mormon,
someone.
so
Okay, so she's never,
never
been in a good solid relationship.
Jared doesn't listen to this. We'll be fine.
Lol.
But no, like for me, it's just like there. I have like maybe it's because like I'm so fucking burnt by like any girl I've dated that's like, we should go see this movie. It's based on a book I used to read. I'm like, oh, what is this about? Well, this girl falls in love with a guy who's crippled, and she knows she's going to die, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Psst, it's a fault in our stars.
No.
Don't do it.
That book's bullshit.
They're both bullshit.
I actually think the book is not very well written, but
Well,
the
it's
story
very-
in it is
very-
actually pretty sad.
Right.
It's
right.
a sad story, yeah.
Well-
And it's realistic too, but I
Right.
think the movie is pretty terrible.
Pretty shit.
Wasn't
That's the
it-
thing. Paper. Right.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Paper Towns is a good. I love Paper Towns as a book.
Yeah.
That movie was just shit.
Terrifying eyebrows made me not be able to watch it.
No.
I don't mind romance novels or films as much as long as the writing is decent. If it's believable, then I'm okay with it.
Well, that's always been.
But if we're talking about like Attack of the Clones level romance bullshit, I'm
Right.
fucking out, man.
Are you sure a three-way between an emotionless person, a vampire, and a werewolf isn't rational?
It's definitely not. But if we're gonna talk about Twilight, let's tangent into some 50 Shades of Grey.
Right, I was
That
gonna
is-
bring
no,
that up.
no,
Yeah,
it's
but
It's
not
not
that-
that.
no.
It's
The
a
fact that
bullshit
that is
fan
a-
fiction
Right,
of
yes.
Twilight.
Yes, that
Right.
is what bothers me the most about it.
Right.
Yeah,
but
it's so fucking
I think
weird.
I think that's my biggest problem with the biggest problem with 50 Shades of Grey is
Not the BDSM.
I have no problems with BDSM.
I have no problem with the BDSM. I don't like the way they handle the BDSM.
Yeah, I
guess
feel
I-
kind of the same way.
I haven't read the book and I haven't seen any of the movies, so I don't know how they handle it.
The
I put a gamble with one of my friends. Is like whoever keeps reading the book gets $100. I quit after the first chapter. I was like, nope. You win. I don't
I've
give a
read
fuck.
the whole book, and
You are braver than I
the
am.
book's
sir.
not as shit as the movie, but I still think the book is pretty shit.
Okay.
And I'm not against BDSM in any way.
They just handle it poorly.
Kind
I
of dig
guess?
it, but yeah, and
Okay.
the way that they don't handle it very well is that the guy is like totally into it,
Mm.
but the girl is not really all that into it.
So he
And
kind of
it's-
forces her
It's
to?
it almost feels like he's kind of forcing her into this thing.
Yeah,
That's
like-
messed up.
and
like,
a lot of people who are into BDSM are into it because it's something that's
they
feels
share with their partner.
that feels dangerous, but yet they can share this dangerous level of trust
Yeah,
with
because
their
you have like
partner.
safe words and things to keep
Yeah.
you comfortable and shit like that.
And by not including that level of like trustworthiness in the dangerous
it
aspect
feels just
of it,
it's
it
rapey.
Yeah.
it feels sort of rapey at times, and at other times it just feels like
You're being abusive for no.
yeah,
apparent
exactly.
reason.
It
Like,
feels like it's almost abusive.
Yeah,
Right.
that's one of the things. Like, if you're both into that, cool. Like, go ahead, do it. Whatever. Like, whatever.
Yeah,
tickles your
definitely.
fancy,
Like,
but,
give me a
if-
call sometime or whatever.
but
I'm like
that
getting choked a
definitely
little,
makes
you
me
know?
not like it even
I'm
more
already
if
choking.
that's how they handled it, because
Mhm.
I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't feel safe, like that's.
And later on in the books, they kind of like explain that she's a little bit more into it, but the movies skip that shit altogether,
Right.
Oh yeah.
which makes it that much worse.
Which it makes it really, really bad. Well, and another movie to book, and I know it's a graphic novel, but it has just been seared in my brain since we fucking saw it, is Valerian. Like,
Oh,
and I'm
God.
going like no, and I'm going to play it like this. They get like creative licenses. I totally understand that. I get that.
Yeah.
Like they look very accurate. Like most of the creatures besides Valerian and fucking Lauren
Yeah.
don't look accurate at all. But like the reason I'm bringing it up is that like yes, that is how it looks in the books, and it's like awesome. It looks fucking cool. But like I said, you have shit people portraying these characters who should be competent. That ruins it. Like there's book adaptations that would be really good if it wasn't for their fucking actors. Like I'm sorry, I know everyone really loves Jennifer Lawrence. Cool. I don't think she made a really good Katniss,
No.
in my personal opinion.
I don't think so either. I don't know who else should have played her, but
I think she made a decent Katniss in the first movie.
Right.
Yeah,
but
okay,
as
yeah.
it
It,
progresses,
it felt really real in the first
But
movie.
as it
and-
progresses,
yeah.
it just kind of felt shoved in. But
Yeah.
that's my problem with like all these YA adult novels, action adventure novels trying to come into books.
I think the only problem I had with Katniss in the movies as opposed to the books kind of have it a little bit, but you always get the feeling that she's always leaning more towards Peeta, whereas the movies try to make it into a love triangle when
Mhm.
really in the books it wasn't that
It's
big
another
of a thing.
it's another
Yeah.
thing, like they're adapting it to be for this 13-year-old girl market.
Yeah.
And see, that is honestly my problem with that though. Like I get that, you're trying to get like this certain person, and that is 100% cool. But you don't want to lose that. Like
You don't want to drift away from like your base story
Yeah, I was
kind
Right.
of
gonna
thing
say
to
the
do
problem
it.
is you already had a good foundation in what your book was.
Right.
Why try and change that just to get a new group when you already
Right.
had a solid group?
right, exactly.
Yeah.
And that is my biggest problem with one of my favorite books when I was in middle school that they adapted in the movie, fucking Inkheart. I
Oh.
loved that book so
Those
much.
books were amazing.
And like I said, this is my thing. This is my thing about all of that shit. Like this is my thing about like how ownership is a bitch. Like you
Mhm.
in literature outlet, you can use whatever you want. Free
Mhm.
domain. That is free domain. But everyone has the movie rights to everything. So no one can do anything with that kind of thing.
Pretty much.
And
yeah.
then so it's just kind of like you could use Dorothy because Dorothy's free domain, but all the other characters that they have are from other fucking books. So it's like
Yeah.
really hard to adapt shit like that. And then that also brings me up with the Dark Tower. And like I recently saw it, and I totally am going to shoot lower than both Lindsay and
Jay.
fucking Jay. It's a 1. And
Really?
this is why. The Dark Tower is I guess it would be modern fantasy in a way.
Mhm.
It's modern fantasy. It's a dark adult fantasy. That movie plays out like any young adult novel book. Like it
Really?
plays out like Maze Runner, and
Oh,
I hate
God.
Maze Runner.
Fucking sucks.
So
Yeah,
because
I was kind of getting that like a Percy Jackson kind of
Right.
vibe
Yeah.
from the trailers. I
Which-
haven't seen the movie, but
right,
and that's definitely not how the book plays
right.
out.
The
Oh,
book
God,
does
no.
not play out and like
Not even close.
Dude, there's a fucking scene in the drawing of 2 where the dude makes sure the guy doesn't have a gun by fucking fisting him and making sure he didn't stick it in his anal cavity.
Yeah.
That's all. No,
Jesus.
yeah.
That's
they're
a
in the-
fucking scene.
They're
It's
in
like
the
a page and a
yeah,
half
they're in the
long.
1950s when this is happening. They're gangsters and shit like that. So there's context to that. He's not just like I want to fist you, boy.
I mean,
No, I assume so, but like,
But like that's the thing. Like The Dark Tower is not a movie that you should have made it rated R.
Oh yeah, it needed to be an R. The second I knew that it wasn't an R rating, I was already disappointed.
And B, how the fuck are you gonna make a movie that has 8 books and then 3 side books and in a compendium of short stories and make it only a 1 hour and 37 minutes.
Yeah.
Like,
That's all it is.
it was
Yeah,
1
it's
hour
1
and
hour and a
37
half.
minutes.
That's
My
pretty
God.
surprising.
Yeah. So the thing about it is, it's like when, it's like how people would always try to argue if you watch Serenity, you don't need to watch Firefly. A, that's a fucking lie. And B, you need to have watched The Dark Tower. You need to have read a little bit of The Dark Tower to understand what the fuck is going on.
Well,
So-
I'm sure it's an hour and a half. They probably didn't give you any backstory.
Exactly. So you lose, or you already lose the people who didn't want a sequel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, let's be fair. And we said this on our review of The Dark Tower. Oh well, Stephen King really liked it. Yeah, I would like it too if someone gave me money for something I made. Like,
Yeah.
That kind of depends too, like your integrity as a writer.
Yeah.
I mean, because I'm kind of different. If I made or wrote something and then it got adapted into a movie and they changed some of the things that I felt were the important parts of the storyline, I would be extremely disappointed no matter how much I got paid.
Yeah.
I mean, I would almost be more disappointed because it was something that I had made beforehand.
Yeah. And there have been writers that have come out and said that they don't like their movie adaptation
Oh,
of
dude.
the book before.
And that's kind of what I was hoping from Stephen King, because from when I was originally reading it, this is like his baby. This was his one true story he wanted
it's
to tell.
his entire universe all in
Yeah, like
one
this was
series.
his.
Yeah.
This was his love child. Like this was the series he wanted to be the pinnacle of
Yeah,
anything
this
he
was
ever wrote.
Stephen King's be-all, end-all.
And now that he likes this movie, it makes me severely disappointed in him.
I'm never disappointed in Stephen King at all. Like I kind of saw this coming from the dude, because like dude, he said Dreamcatcher was a good movie, so fuck that guy. Like
Good point.
any fucking thing that comes out of that man's mouth is he is also masturbating on his money.
If it's not written in a book and published, I'm done believing anything he says.
Right, like that's my thing. Like Lindsay made that point too. He's like, oh well, look at me while I dabble in my money. Like, let's be honest with you, Stephanie Meyer is not gonna be like, oh, those movies really suck. No, because those movies hit box office numbers.
Oh yeah.
They broke box office
Right.
numbers.
And fucking Suzanne Collins is gonna be like,
Back on Twilight. I remember going to see the third one in theaters for a
to do it
date.
for a blowjob.
I went on a date, and she's like,
Just for
I
a
want to go
blowjob.
see this Twilight movie. I'm like, all right. I remember falling
Did you get
asleep.
popcorn? Did you put a hole in the popcorn bucket?
I
Jay?
did get popcorn.
Oh,
I
did you put the hole in it?
No. I remember falling asleep during the movie and people getting pissed because I started snoring.
Oh no! Speaking of Twilight, I remember I was dating a girl from Hartley actually. She's like, "Let's go see New Moon." I'm like, "Wait, what?"
I can't remember which one it was that I had to see. What's the third one?
Eclipse.
Oh yeah, and I hadn't seen the two ones prior to
Whoa.
it either.
Yeah,
so
I didn't
I'm
never-
like, I'm fucking lost.
like I have never seen New Moon, and all I could see throughout that movie is that one scene where Edward's about to show himself, and he has irregular nipples, and I was like, that guy has irregular nipples.
It's like it's like having lazy eye. You can't tell which nipple's looking at
Right.
you.
Dude, that's the fucking Riff Tracks has a comment on that for their Twilight thing when he takes his shirts off and they're just all like, and millions of teenage girls shrieked in horror as they realized that their man is not what he seemed.
Yeah, and so, but then there's movies like The Fly that I like that are just totally different from the book
Oh yeah.
because it's been Cronenberg universe, and
Not
so
the original.
what?
Not the original The Fly.
Not the original Fly, but the Jeff Goldblum one.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
The Goldblum one is one of the ones. But then there's like, I got the English copy of the book Battle Royale, which is 10 times more intense Hunger Games in Japan.
Mhm.
And they made a movie, and god damn it, was that movie accurate.
Well,
Holy shit.
A really good, well, I don't know if it's a good one, probably not, But one that I really enjoy is the adaptation of 30 Days of Night.
Right? No, it's
I
actually
love that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like no, like Sin City is fucking beautiful.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
like,
Oh, yeah,
The
I
first
love
Sin
the
City
art
is really
style.
good.
Right.
The black, the way that the red contrasts so hard to the black and white is
Right.
It's great.
awesome.
Mm.
Yeah,
That was the only redeeming quality of the second one is the visuals. On
Right.
that.
everything else was shit though.
Yeah.
And so now we're gonna go into some weird. We're gonna go into hit some damn Game Boys topic with books to video game adaptations. And
Books to video games.
Mhm. No, and there's only one good book to video game adaptation that I can.
I can't really even think of any at all.
The Harry Potter series.
No,
Well, I
The
mean
Witcher.
that's like,
I'm The Witcher.
oh yeah,
The
The
Witcher.
Witcher's
The Witcher,
book
yeah, those
is-
were good.
I have never read the books, but I have delved into the wiki
Mm-hmm.
and have
I've
read.
read a few of the books.
Right, I've heard that is actually very, very close to the books.
Not gonna lie, The Witcher is probably my favorite game series of all time.
Right.
Well,
Like,
the-
hands down.
The reason that the
Beautiful.
Witcher games are actually pretty close to the books is because the developers work with the author quite a bit
Yeah.
when they write up the story and design the characters and stuff like that.
Which I'm not gonna lie, y'all need to start doing more. Like you can't. I'm just saying, like.
Yeah, they've really got to like include original authors and shit like that
Right.
a lot better.
Yeah, because they're kind of just being like, hey, can I borrow this idea? Sure. What the fuck did you just do?
Yeah,
Borrowed your
exactly.
idea. Money.
Apparently, Far Cry 2 was based off of a book.
That wouldn't surprise me, but who gives a fuck at the same time?
Wasn't Enslaved Odyssey to the West based off a book?
It was based off of a Chinese myth of
Yeah.
the Monkey King.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
But no, it is technically Journey of the West is one of the 4 classic Chinese novels. So yes, it is.
Because I fucking love Enslaved.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's such
One
a
of
good
the most
game.
underrated games ever.
Right, and I think that's a very good, interesting one. And like, I just came to thought about like we were talking about science fiction. One of the like, I love the movie for what it is, but it's not the book. Is The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
I
Yeah.
love that movie.
I love The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
I like
Mostly.
the books so much more.
I
than
know,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
what I mean. Like,
Oh,
the
yeah.
books are
I'm-
so much
I'm-
more interesting.
I mean, if you guys like the movie, then I'm kind of on a different side where I'm not really that huge of a fan of the
I took
movie.
the movie as like a premise from the book, and then a
Yeah.
whole different thing. So I enjoy the movie. It's funny. It's enjoyable.
There are definitely points of the movie that I like, but there's so much missing about the journey that's going on in the book.
Oh,
Right,
yeah.
and I get
I've
you
never
on that.
read the book, so maybe that's why I enjoyed the movie so much.
I will get you on that. But for me, like, I took it as, you sometimes you just gotta take it as it is.
Yeah,
And
I
like,
mean, it's not a movie that I hate. It's
Right.
just a movie that I think could have been done better.
I mean,
Well,
I'm
it
not
could've
gonna
been,
lie.
right.
I think most of the reason why I like it is because Mos Def is in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love me
Yeah.
some Mos Def.
So I'm not gonna lie. I might as well I consider this books, but one of my favorite book to movies is The Prince of Egypt. I know people are gonna give me shit about this. I really like it's the story of Moses.
Yeah.
Oh.
So you're talking about like the Bible to the movie?
Yeah, that's a book to me.
There are
Yeah,
a lot of
that-
Bible stories
Right.
through
I
the
mean,
movies.
obviously the Bible is a book, but
Right, but you
Not
don't
a very-
No, it's not.
not a very good one.
Just,
It's kind of a boring
But
read.
no, no.
The characters
I
are pretty
I want to defend this before, because I know we are not very religious people. But
I am a very unreligious
Yeah,
person.
I'll be honest with
Sorry.
I'm very religious.
Sorry,
thank you.
Grandma.
Yeah, but not for me. Sorry, I know you're listening to this, and you're gonna call my mom and tell her I'm an atheist. That's cool.
The ending gets really weird.
Dragons coming out and shit, and
And
where's
the
that
Bible,
movie?
Yeah, that
Dude.
Revelations is terrifying.
Read-
if anybody's actually read it.
If you want something fun to do, read Revelations when you're fucked up.
Dude,
As
really?
somebody who's read the Bible 7 times,
Yeah.
God damn.
it's not as bad when you read over it again and then realize that it's all bullshit.
No, but for me,
It's
the
a much
prince.
better story when I realize it's fiction.
Why is this in the?
The first time I read it, I was 8.
Right.
And this is a time period when I'm living in a situation where everyone around me is super religious and basically is deciding that you have to be religious.
Oh, I feel you
The
there.
only
Yeah.
version of the Bible I read was when I was really young, and it was the little kid's Bible with the pictures. So Adam and Eve had like the leaves over like her tits and his dick.
No, but like,
How did they actually hold
Right.
those up?
Right, like for me, like
Sap.
the Prince of
Lots of
Egypt.
sap.
Yeah, lots of sap.
Oh.
Have you not? That's disgusting.
Yes, man, I cannot.
Boy, you nasty. You
Can you
nasty.
imagine? I'm not even
Go.
I can
No,
just
go.
imagine like
Like-
Morgan Freeman narrating how horrible that world could have been
Looking-
in a time before shaving existed and
licking,
people put tree sap on their dicks.
licking that pussy. You just get a mouthful of sap.
Tastes
No,
like molasses.
Like my favorite iteration of the Bible was from The Simpsons, where they duplicate the Bible stories, and like Homer's just grabbing the fucking like ham from the pig and just is like, I'm gonna call this bacon, and just start fucking eating it. But no, back onto what we were saying. The Prince of Egypt is a really good movie comparatively with that shit retelling of Gods of Egypt, which is the fucking Kings of Egypt or
I
whatever,
haven't
with like
seen it.
Christian Bale, made by Ryan's boy Ridley Scott,
Yeah.
That one is
and then
something.
Darren Aronofsky's Noah, where Noah's a fucking fighting rock monsters.
Yeah.
What?
Visually,
Yeah.
it looks like a really cool movie.
Yeah,
but I
that's
the
haven't
Russell
seen
Crowe
it.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fucking bad. And then you get like,
If you watch it in a humor standpoint, though, it's a great
It's
movie.
great. But
There's
like-
the only thing I've ever seen of that movie was a clip on Facebook that was just like, if they just took this scene and made it into a short movie, it'd be amazing.
right.
Like, granted, like the scene I watched was really good and had some really good dialogue in it, but apparently the rest of the movie's just
Yeah, the rest of the
terrible.
movie is shit. So then you get into like, we're just talking about creative properties and shit like that. So then you get into like every fucking retelling of King Arthur, and that new retelling of King Arthur with Charlie
I
Hunnam.
actually like the new one.
Ooh,
That one
I
bombed really
fucking
hard.
hated it.
I liked it.
Like maybe I really delved into Arthurian legend when I was younger,
Yeah.
and for me, I was just like, God damn.
Well, that's the thing is I liked that it was a different story. It wasn't like all the same bullshit again.
From what I've read about it, apparently it's not like a horrible movie. It just got overshadowed by everything that was
Yeah.
coming out at the time.
It did a little
Because it
bit.
was like right before Transformers hit theaters.
Alright, so I'm
I
gonna.
think the newest Fast and Furious movie was.
So
still
my problem with it is I hate all the slow mo in it, and like that's why I don't like Guy Ritchie or Zack Schneider, because it's like slow mo up the butthole.
See, Kien has a problem with slow mo, like probably a lot more than most people.
I have an aggressive problem with slow
No, I'm on
motion.
par with that. I fucking hate
I
slow
will
mo.
explain to you why. Those slow motion scenes last
What?
a minute or so. That actual filming of that scene only lasts like 3 to 10 seconds.
The best action movie of all time is John Wick 1 and 2. Why? Because they don't use slow-mo and all the cuts are one fluid motion. Fuck slow-mo.
Brian, you watch The Matrix.
Which I'll make an exception for, because it's tastefully done.
I like slow motion.
You are a piece of
depending
shit,
on how it's
by the
done.
way.
Brian is a hypocritical piece of shit.
I like slow motion depending on how it's used.
If it's
and
done well and only used a little bit, I'm
yeah,
alright with it.
I
That
didn't
used it a lot.
Yeah, but I didn't notice it enough to really think of it. And a couple of the times when they're using it is during scenes where like I'm
A fucking dog is barking. Yeah, that's
Well,
one time they use slow
I'm talking
motion.
about like
Oh, dramatic.
one scene where they use it is like he's just been like hitting the head really hard,
Yeah.
and there's like ringing going on in the background, and if you've ever had a concussion, that's kind of what it
kind of what it feels like.
Yeah. No, and then
And
like,
so that's why I like it there, and it doesn't bother me. But I can see where you're saying like they use it a bit much.
right, and I mean, everyone is entitled to their own opinions. Personally, I did not like King Arthur, and the new one, but then we
I
get
wouldn't call it a masterpiece.
Yeah,
but
no,
I
it's
definitely-
not, no.
I definitely enjoyed it.
There are book to movie adaptations that are masterpieces. Hashtag Jaws.
I'm gonna fucking stab you. I
Jaws?
swear to
Somebody needs to kill
God.
Ryan.
The original Jaws is amazing. One of
Jaws
the best
is a
movies of
very
the time.
highly critically acclaimed.
Oh, yeah.
movie.
It is. I mean, I'm not gonna like deny that, but goddamn.
Original Jaws, hands down, in my top 5 favorite movies.
Which
of
is
all time.
fine. Which is fine. Everyone
I-
can have bad
I-
taste here and there. It's cool.
Well,
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
probably
you
in
like
my top
X-Men
10.
First Class, so...
Whatever.
I mean, I like First
I was
Class,
gonna
too.
say I am not getting into this with you about why
Shots fired.
First Class is a good movie.
I'd never trust Kien's taste in movies. They're shit.
Okay, no. My tastes are mediocre. There are way more people that you shouldn't trust any of theirs.
Hashtag J. Olden.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like, Jay's like, everything's good. And I'm like,
He's always on two ends of the spectrum.
Yeah,
it's either
he's-
amazing or it's really bad.
or he's in the
Oh,
middle
Jay's
of the...
on the spectrum.
Yeah. No, but like then we get the books like the adaptations like Sherlock fucking Holmes, and you're like,
Oh my
okay,
God.
Is
that's
that the Robert Downey Jr. ones?
like just in general, any of the
In
shit I
general.
fucking
I
love.
I like the
actually
Robert Downey
really
Jr. ones.
dislike the Benedict Cumberbatch Sherlocks.
I can
I
agree.
can understand that.
I'm on the same
I
level with
don't
that.
need
I don't like
a
it.
3-hour fucking episode where nothing happens.
Right.
That's how the books go.
It is, but like
Not
you're
really that
making a
into the
TV
books.
show now. Like
Yeah, if you're gonna adapt something like that into a TV show, at least make it
I was just
interesting.
gonna say like I was like that's how the books are like
Yeah.
Sherlock Holmes is not really that great of a detective if it takes you like 60 pages.
I think RDJ's Sherlock Holmes movies were at least entertaining.
They're fun.
Yeah,
I'd
like,
never call them a good movie, but
no,
they were
like
fun to
they're
watch.
fun and adventurous, and like
Yeah.
I get that. Like I like that part of it, but like everyone knows the greatest Sherlock Holmes movie is The Great Mouse Detective. So
I can't argue with that.
yeah, The Great Mouse Detective is the fucking bomb.
That is a good movie.
It's a dope ass movie. And then like you get like the quote unquote Disney adaptations of books like Oliver and Company is supposed to be Oliver Twist.
Well, let's not forget how they changed the original fairy tales.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
they do that all the time.
Yeah.
So
I want to see
oh.
a more faithful adaptation of
I want to see
Cinderella.
the real life. Damn it.
Yeah, if we're gonna go to that, I would bring up because I read the Hunchback of Notre Dame book for high school
Oh my
for a
God.
That was
thesis.
fucked, isn't it?
Yeah, for
Yeah.
a thesis. For a
I
thesis.
mean, it's based around the time period of the Salem witch trials.
Yeah,
Right.
That book is
For a thesis on the different why you should not try to adapt certain movies into
Which-
other media.
Looking back on it, that movie is fucked too. That
Oh,
was
it's-
terrifying.
yeah.
for a
Yeah,
Disney
they were
movie.
going to burn her alive during the movie, and then like the old fucking dude falls off the clock tower into
Yeah.
the fire.
Like,
Right.
Even some of the imagery in that movie was
Right,
fucking
like-
terrifying.
He fucking kills Quasimodo's mom in the first scene.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
opening scene is him killing
Like
his
the
mom.
Bells of Notre Dame is basically a song of Frollo committing murder and is about to kill Quasimodo.
Yeah,
That's
I remember
that's
being
what it
freaked
is.
out by that movie when I was a kid.
Oh yeah, that's a terrifying movie. I'm so impressed it's a Disney movie. Like that shit needs to
Disney
be.
made some fucked up shit back.
I
in the
was
day,
gonna
man.
The
say-
Black Cauldron.
Yeah, do
Oh,
you remember?
Yeah.
Well, Fantasia too.
Yeah,
Had some
that's
pretty
kinda fucked up
Dark,
too.
picturesque scenes, especially like for kids to be watching at the time period.
Yeah.
Right. No, like so the thing about the reason I want to bring it up. So the ending of the Hunchback of Notre Dame Disney movie is that Quasimodo gets friend zoned and Esmeralda and
Surprise, surprise! The ugly guy gets friend zoned.
get friend zoned. But in the books, Esmeralda actually isn't burned; she is hung.
Yep.
And Quasimodo hides in the catacombs and holds her dead body until they both die. And then years later, they open the catacombs and they see Quasimodo's skeleton is still holding on to Esmeralda's. And as they try to get Esmeralda, Quasimodo turns into dust.
That's so romantic.
Yeah. And then,
Not
like,
as romantic as Romeo and Juliet.
right.
Where
Oh.
two dipshit fucking kids kill themselves because they can't be together.
All right, so that's the thing. Actually, I'm gonna point this out. I actually
Romeo's a fucking player.
Right. I actually really like that Leonardo DiCaprio
Yeah,
movie,
that one's a
Romeo
funny
plus
one.
Juliet.
The one where
Like,
they have guns and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I
they
like
still
that
talk
one.
in Shakespearean.
Yeah, exactly. I like that one because on their guns they have the weapons written down.
Yeah.
And they're
Yeah.
like old time weapons, so someone's got like a really long pistol that says longsword on it.
Yeah,
and it's like
fucking
hanging up
awesome.
in his limousine. It's so dumb. And then there's a guy with a fucking like snub-nosed revolver that has a scope on it.
Right.
That
Oh,
movie's
it's so fucking
really
stupid.
critically acclaimed too.
It's so dumb though.
Yeah,
But,
it's
like,
so
fucking
good and so
Paul
bad at the
Rudd
same
was in
time.
that movie.
What?
Paul Rudd
Yeah,
was in
for
that
real?
movie.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was.
Okay.
Yeah. And
God.
John Leguizamo was in the.
It actually had a decent
Yeah,
cast
it
for
had
being the crapshoot that it ended
for
up
what
being.
It was. It is so weird.
Oh, Leo.
Like,
The things you do, you need to stop.
right, there are certain. Well, What's Bothering Gilbert Grape was a book before it was a movie, and like.
Gilbert.
Gilbert that kills people.
Imagine the gas there. Boom, boom.
Wake up, mama.
I remember watching the movie adaptation of Flowers to Algernon or whatever.
Oh, Flowers for Algernon?
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
In
What was
fucking,
that
like,
movie
middle
about?
school.
Oh
I
my
can't
God.
remember everything. It was about like some retarded guy and his
Okay,
mouse
this
or
kid
something.
has a degenerative mental disease, and they're testing a new drug on the mouse, and the mouse starts getting better, so they give the drug to the kid, and near the end, the mouse starts dying faster, and the kid starts degenerating too.
Mhm.
So, like, if you read the book, it's actually written by the kid, so the beginning of the book is in, like, 12-year-old, like, retarded kid, like, poor sentences, really bad
Retarded
punctuation.
kid. Okay.
Like, incredibly bad punctuation and shit, and then through, like, the middle of it, he becomes, like, competent, sentences are formed right, paragraphs are good, and then, like, the last 3 chapters, it just breaks down. Like,
Yeah.
paragraphs literally are spotchy, and the end is him watching the mouse die, and then the book ends.
Oh my god.
It's a great book.
Yeah, the book is excellent.
Beautiful.
The movie is stupid.
Sub below par.
He's
That's
like,
fucked.
I remember the scene vividly of him like swinging on a set, just,
Yeah.
and I can't take it seriously because
Oh,
the
God, no.
acting is so bad.
Never
Yeah.
go full retard. Sean Penn went full retard.
We are
Moment
definitely not politically correct here.
Oh god, no.
Oh,
Oh,
if anybody
no.
has a problem with it, you can fight me.
Oh, I'm gonna get hit for saying the word retard, so fuck it.
So, does she
Oh yeah, your
listen?
wife doesn't like that.
No, she does not like that word. Yeah, she listens every once in a while.
Oh, that's great.
People that don't like the word retarded are retarded.
Alright, the problem she has with it is that it's become...
Because it's her son.
No.
Oh,
Fuck
fucking
you.
hell.
The
The
Oh
problem
my
she has
god.
with it is because it's become a...
Slang term like
it's become
faggot.
a slang term like fag or like gay. So like it's become a down-putting word when retarded used to mean like you're mentally retarded, and now retarded is like an abusive and abrasive word, and that's the reason she has a problem with it.
I
To be fair,
tread carefully.
Very carefully.
Tread carefully.
To be fair, the meaning behind fag is a lot more messed up than retard.
Well,
So I can
yes,
understand
it
why
is.
fag would be offensive.
Well,
Okay, I was like, tread carefully.
with that,
We're going into this.
with that word, fag had a lot more meanings before being a derogatory
A
term.
term for
before
gay
it was
people.
I mean,
Exactly.
it
it's
was
also
everything.
a term for cigarettes.
Cigarette or a bundle of sticks.
Right?
It's like, and then people eventually just started using it as a derogatory term. And I'm a person who's completely on the side that words shouldn't have as much meaning to people as they do.
I am a firm believer.
But again-
of offenses taken, not given.
Yeah.
Oh, very much.
Oh, very much so. I totally get that. So, another book that really, I'm glad they strayed away from the book was American Psycho.
Oh.
And
yeah.
because of one certain scene. So, Patrick Bateman is a fucking crazy person to
Well,
begin
yeah.
with. In the movie, he's crazy and kills people for fun.
One of my favorite movies, by the way.
So, honestly, there's a scene where he ties up a girl, has her blindfolded, puts rotting meat up her vagina, and then has a rat dig through her.
Oh wait, yeah, I've
Yeah.
heard about that part.
Yeah.
Like, there's some things that I'm glad that, like, movies
Well,
I like.
I mean, they probably would have put that in, but that would have gone in an NC-17.
Right, and well, that's
Right.
the thing. That was another book that I wanted to bring up. Like, I read, when I find out things are made from books, like, I read The Clockwork Orange, I'm like, oh, no.
Oh, dude, that book is.
You read
Yeah, that
Ooh.
shit is dark.
I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, God.
God, I mean, I've read the entire collection of Edgar Allan Poe, and I'm not going near that shit.
It's very impressive when a book manages to be too dark for me, because I love dark shit.
It's been a while since I've read it, but
Yes.
it's one of those
Delves
things
into
that
some-
gets you thinking in a weird way.
dark.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It fucks with you.
You're just like no. Like, and honestly, my all-time favorite book adaptation, and it's because people made fun of me because I cried in 4th grade when the mom died, is Simon Birch.
What's Simon Birch?
It's about a midget
Yeah.
who can't swim but saves everyone from a drowning bus.
Oh.
It's a really good movie. And
Hey, yeah, we watched that. Good Laxon had us watch that one time.
Yup.
Yeah, I remember that.
That's a bad time.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So like, and then like, I'm a sucker for fucking dogs. So Old Yeller is like another one of my
Oh,
favorite.
I
movies
refuse to ever watch that movie.
because he gets shot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, like Marley and Me fucked me up, man.
Right.
Yeah, I
kinda
like-
remember that a little bit.
Dogs dying in movies makes me sadder than people that I'm related to dying in real life.
Dude, fucking Lord of the Rings. Like I've always said this. Like there can be as many people like getting slaughtered on screen
But when you kill
as
a horse,
possible. But when the fucking horses get stomped on by the elephants, that's when I'm just like, no, you do not fucking do that.
right?
It's
Leave
just
the
like-
animals alone.
It's just like watching Game of Thrones. Like when I see Joffrey die, I'm like happy.
And then when I see the
watch
dogs
like
get
Summer get stabbed,
right.
I'm like, no, stop!
Like that scene where the hound fucking kills the butcher's son. I'm like, all right, that's
Whatever.
That's fucked up. And then like Ned's going up to Sansa's dog.
Lady, yeah.
You're just like, oh god.
There is another movie I can't watch. I can't watch I Am Legend because of that scene with his dog.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Which is
Yeah.
also based on a book called
it is.
Omega.
Yeah.
I Am
Yeah.
Omega.
Which the ending to that book is so much better than the movie. ending.
I
ending of
actually
that book?
don't hate the ending to that movie though.
He didn't have to sacrifice himself though, like
The
that.
ending of the
I mean, you
book.
can think of it like that. But I don't know. I've seen a bunch of theories on like him not having to sacrifice himself like that, and then I've seen other ones where people have expressed like if he didn't, there wouldn't have been anything standing between the monster people and then
All right,
Yeah.
that's
the kid and him, and he wouldn't have been able to deliver his cure if they weren't able to carry it for him.
Yeah.
right.
So the ending of the book, I like it because it actually makes you think a little bit more. Because with the ending of the book, you know how he has that female one that he's like trying to find a cure for her the entire time. In the book, he realizes that they're actually sentient, and the only reason they're attacking him is because they know that he has her, and they're trying to get her back, and they're like expressing emotion and like feeling, and he realizes that he's the monster, like in their eyes, for like taking her away from them, and that's the ending of the book. I like that ending
That's a
so
good
much
ending.
more.
Yeah.
Well,
I think I like the reason I like the ending of the movie also is because of the name change. When you name it like I Am Legend, it's like now he's not around, and it's like this movie is about like his story or his legend.
his legend. I like
Which
that.
which very understandable.
Yeah.
The Planet of the Apes was actually based on a book too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not.
But
I
what,
like it too.
one quick
Judge
thing
about
about I Am Legend, that is actually one of Will Smith's like best acted movies.
Oh yeah.
Agreed.
He was really good in that.
No, I get
That
I,
scene when he's talking to the fucking mannequin, he's just like, "Hello, please say hello to me."
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's a scene that like makes me feel lonely even.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Yeah, that.
And that's
scene
the whole
fucked
thing
me.
that makes like the scene with his dog too so much more fucking
So much
Painful.
more fucked
right.
up.
Because he has
because
no one
that's like
else.
the last thing that he has.
There is one anime adaptation that I want to bring up that I think is really fucking cool, and it's the anime adaptation of The Count of Monte Cristo that
I
uses.
have no idea what you're talking
Okay,
about.
so
Jake watched that.
yeah, well, that's your brother. So
Well, he's a really big fan of Count Monte Cristo.
Yeah. I like that. I like the movie a lot too.
I
though,
like the
too.
book.
The book is really good, but the reason why it's so stylistic and it uses mechs for their sword fights. But the thing I wanted to point out, it's so
What?
yeah, it's mechs for sword fights. Yeah, don't look at it too much, okay?
Don't delve too deep into it.
Right.
Just
Alright.
skim the
Just
surface.
go with it.
Right. So,
I mean, I can dig some mechs. I
right, it's
suppose.
fucking dope. Like you know, mechs and the old like, how dare thee do this? So what you get is that, like, I wanted to bring up the stylisticness of it. Is like, you know how Chowder did the pattern marks. They do it. That they were the first ones to do it. Like, that's where Chowder got the inspiration to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is the stylistic movement, and I think it's beautifully done. It follows the story to a T, and I mean, I love that one. But then you get like the quote unquote Shakespeare's plays based on by Disney. The Lion King is apparently based on Hamlet,
What?
and
Technically.
and the Lion King 2 is based on Romeo and Juliet.
That one I can kind of see more.
Yeah, that one's more closer. But
Yeah.
Well, the Hamlet one is, you can see the references too.
Right.
With
Yeah,
like,
like,
inter-family betrayals.
if you look at it, you can see it, but like
It's not something that you just notice when you're watching it.
Yeah, you definitely.
There is one Shakespeare adaptation that I gotta look it up, but it has Gerard Butler and Ralph Fiennes in it, and it is fucking good.
Did they ever make The Man in the Iron Mask into a movie?
Yes.
Yeah.
They have.
It actually, that had Leo, actually.
Yeah, it did.
Cornelius is an amazing
Oh yeah.
fucking play, and also an amazing fucking movie. It's actually based largely in a fictional European country going into war, and it's a modernized war, so it's a modernized military, and it still makes it look good. So there's always that, and then I'm not gonna lie. There's a Fox Searchlight picture retelling of Midnight Summer's Dream that I actually really, really enjoy, because that's like my favorite Shakespeare play. And so there's Midnight Summer's Dream, and then I think one of the best iterations to me, and like you guys can all say like I'm dumb, but Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven, as told in The Simpsons, is like one of my favorite. It is. It's like
It's
one of
such an interesting way to do it. I like
right.
it.
I mean,
Yeah.
like, it's such an interesting retelling of that story. Because you have Homer saying some lines, and then you have fucking Alan Alda saying like the narrative lines, and Bart being the Raven that says nevermore, and you're just like,
Yeah.
oh, that's an interesting concept. Like, I never thought about it like this, and you look at it, and you're like, huh, that's actually a really
Well, I
spot
mean,
on retelling.
the Simpsons writers are really good. They've just been doing really shitty for the past couple of years.
I was gonna say, past Simpsons writers are very good.
Yeah.
No.
The one, I'm pretty sure they've got different guys working on it now. Because, I mean,
Yeah.
they're approaching, like, season 30 here
Right.
soon. And,
So,
yeah, they're not good.
I was just thinking about this. You know what adaptation movie I want to see remade and follow closer to the book? Fucking Jurassic Park. Because the book is so goddamn violent.
right, there's
Yeah.
like one scene where the guy's like holding his intestines. I'm like, yeah. You're not gonna live, dude. That is actually
Yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff missing from the Jurassic Park movies, too, that kind of needed to be there.
right. Like, I don't know. Like, there's like, there's rarely any good adaptations that are movies though. Like that I've always like raved
Yeah.
for. Like, I always feel bad, but like don't go see adaptations of movies. Read the books, kids. I know reading's hard, but you should just read them. They're really good.
Before we close out, does anybody have books they would like to see as movies?
Oh, I do. Del Toro's Quest. Not as a movie, but as a TV series.
Okay.
I'm already getting what I wanted. The Witcher.
Yeah.
Being made into
Yeah,
a TV
Netflix
series.
is doing
Yeah.
a TV series.
And what they did with Castlevania. And it's
Yeah.
gonna be a Polish studio that's gonna do it.
Jeez.
It'll be
So-
pretty interesting.
And I guess a more accurate retelling of Arabian Nights.
Mm-hmm. So I have one. This is a book I read in like middle school. It's called Leviathan. It's basically an alternate dimension retelling of World War One, where the German armies actually use like mech suits and like high-powered tanks and stuff, and then the Allied forces use genetically engineered animals and like spliced together and stuff. And it's like the telling of World War One through this point of view. It's a book I would recommend everybody read. It's definitely like a middle school grade reading level. It's a pretty easy read.
Right.
But like with how we've gotten with our technology now and stuff, I would love to see them do this. Because like the Leviathan is actually like supposed to be a Zeppelin, a giant space blimp, but it's actually a giant blue whale that's been genetically engineered to harbor helium pockets inside of it.
So it's just a floating whale?
Yeah, it's literally
That's
a flying
awesome.
sentient whale with a bunch, like, the inside of the whale has, like, a pocket that they literally are inside of, and it's got, like, little lemur creatures and stuff that, like, take care of mechanics and shit inside of it. So, like, one mooring side is all mechanical, and the other side is all, like, genetic engineer people, so, like, they don't have, like, cars and shit, they ride on, like, modified horses and stuff.
I would like
that.
to see a
Bunch of fucking Zaboomafus
Right.
riding.
Pretty fucking much.
I would actually like to see the Golden Compass actually made competently
Into a good movie.
into a good movie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was
like,
thinking about that when we talked about Chronicles of Narnia.
I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. Sorry, the Golden Compass was shit.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was a
I
terrible
I think
movie.
That was really bad.
I think another one I'd love to see. I love the Secret of Nim animated movie. I'd love to see a Secret of Nim movie.
Yeah.
I think that one's another one of those movies that
I'd be
really
good
gets
with
me
that.
super interested. Yeah, that's all I really got. Like, I mean, I haven't read, like, a lot of the books I read now are very, like, nonfiction, so, like, I can like, be like, oh, let's do a retelling of General Patton.
A lot of the books I read now are biographies.
Right, so,
Or-
God, we're old
God,
as
you guys
fuck.
are old.
I think something that I'd like to see, and this is kind of a little bit more in the Lord of the Rings universe, but kind of some of the more expanded stuff that Tolkien's son has done.
Right, like,
And
I
I
think you could
think
make a good
he's-
anthology film.
Yeah, like definitely with some of the more ancient dragons, I'd love to see those in like a
Right.
visual thing, because they talk about dragons that are like that sprawl larger than the Lonely Mountains even.
Ooh,
Yeah,
right.
And it's like the entire that's like spreads across the entire continent of Middle Earth there.
I do got one. I just remembered a book series that was huge for me when I was a kid. Artemis Fowl.
Right,
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
shit.
Oh.
That's,
Didn't they?
No,
they
made a
never
graphic
happened.
novel.
yeah. They did Stormbreaker, the Alex Rider series, and I
Yeah.
actually was really sad that book tanked.
Yeah.
Another one that I just thought of, we talked about it earlier, City of Ember.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that'd be
See,
really cool.
a better retelling of that would be awesome too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of books to movies. Like, again, we're getting The Witcher, so this is pretty dope. We got Game of Thrones.
Mhm.
I got American Gods. I mean, I guess,
Can I see Stephen King's Needful Things?
yeah. Well, no, I was in
Or Neil Gaiman's Neverwhere.
Neverwhere is a good one.
That is one.
And
of
I
my
totally
top
forgot
lists.
to talk about Stardust and how amazing Stardust
Oh,
is,
yeah.
and the fantasy of magical and whimsy. I guess you guys are gonna make fun of me. Like, I'd like to see Treasure Planet because I'm like a weirdo about pirate. I really
I
like.
would
pirate.
like to see a Treasure Planet that's not a cartoon.
I'd
I
like to-
actually like the.
I like the
animated
well, I like
movie
the
a
animated
lot.
movie, but I think you could make a really cool
I would love to see a good live
action Treasure
version
Planet
of it.
from Disney. Like, you know, like,
Like,
I
that
think
would
it'd
be cool
I
as
think it'd
shit
be
to
fun.
see.
I'd like to see like not a modern adaptation, like in the sense of they're making it modern, but just like
Using modern technology.
yeah, modern technology of oh god, what the fuck's the name of that book? I had it. It's where they're like trapped on an island. And it's like a group of kids.
Lord of the
Lord of the
Flies!
Flies.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, I'd love to see
I
that.
actually have another one that I want Gary Paulson's The Hatchet.
Ooh,
Like-
yes. A good live
like,
action version of
They've
it.
never made one, and so like that is
They have done a movie of the Hatchet.
Yeah.
Have they?
It
Yeah,
just
they did.
was not that good.
No,
Oh.
they
And it's
tanked.
old too, so it's
Oh, I was gonna say because I would love The
Because I
Hatchet.
remember that coming out like what 10, almost 15 years ago now.
it was quite. I think it would be longer than that. 'Cause I
Or
remember
it was
watching it.
a long
I remember
time
watching
ago.
it in middle school and thinking, "Wow, this is pretty either low budget or kind of old." So it's got to be the '90s at least.
Yeah, I do remember hearing about that. But if we could get a better or a newer
or
Hatchet.
a faithful telling of Frankenstein would be good too.
Right,
Yeah.
Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
Yeah.
I would
Any
totally be
of
down for
those
that.
old time horror books too.
Or
Dracula.
they do have a movie of
You
it.
tell
which
me
I
you
actually-
didn't like Dracula Untold?
Well,
They do have a movie of this one, which I actually really enjoy. It's an older movie, but I really would like to see the portrait of Dorian Gray made again.
Right.
sounds really familiar.
I love that story.
I want to get a Jacqueline Hyde that doesn't have Russell Crowe being a coked out gray monster.
Yeah.
So
I'd really like to get a League of Extraordinary Gentlemen that's...
we have had this
Good.
conversation. I don't want any of that noise.
I like the one we have.
I guess okay.
You can leave out the rape. But
So
Yeah.
for me, like, I love Mark Twain, so I'd love to have an adventure of Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn.
That would be cool.
Like, I really do.
I
Like,
think taking that story and adapting it into a modern
would actually
setting
work.
would be
that
much
actually
better.
really work.
Right.
I would prefer that than them just doing that because there's a lot of racism in those books.
Yeah. So I was gonna ask, was Jim gonna become a Mexican? Was he gonna be a Jaime?
I don't want to like change drastic things like race or anything like that. I just want to avoid the racist undertone that's in the books.
Well,
Yeah.
But you need the
and the
for
things like the
Aye.
slavery and whatnot.
For
like
Huckleberry
that.
Finn, you need slavery though. Like
Yeah.
You
I
don't
was gonna
necessarily need it.
you need
If
you
You can take the story that's in there, modernize it, and change it to something that's a little bit more campy and a little bit more fun,
I can
and
see
still
that.
tell us the same story.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Alright.
could totally see that.
I think, with definitely like a lighter undertone and maybe a little bit more of a comedic value.
Or, I mean, like, you could definitely modernize that and turn it into more of, like, a social commentary movie.
That too,
almost.
even.
yeah.
And then you can even keep a lot of the
Jim
racism
gets shots
and stuff
by the
like
cops. Yeah. Okay.
You
Sorry.
drive a car late at night with your hood up. I think it's dumb, the shit that happens to people. Like, honestly, you read the fucking news. Things are dumb.
Right.
The world is dumb.
I get you. Fucking
We live in a very interesting time, that's all I'll say.
Yeah.
Huckleberry Finn time does kind of exist in Virginia right now.
Little bit. Little bit.
So this has been our podcast. I'm Kien.
We're ending on that note?
Yes, we are.
Alright.
I'm Kien Ibanez.
I'm John Dean.
Max Scully.
Right, guy.
And Jay. I'm kidding. Have a good night, guys.